the previous session, we were talking about how the environmental components can influence the different type of business organizations that prevails in different type of industries. In this new session, we are going to look into the other way around. What can business do to tackle the environmental uncertainty? What and how they are actually trying to com, uh, how they are trying to cope up with the whole process. Now, before I go to the main topic, here's one concept that I want you to keep in mind. This is Michael Porter's five forces model that has been designed by a Harvard scholar named Michael Porter. In this five forces model, Michael Porter is actually presenting five different market forces that any industry player has to thoroughly assess repeatedly from time to time in order to ensure the survival in the market. Now let's look into the five different competitive forces in a detailed fashion. So when an organization has to consistently observe the market forces, the first thing that they need to analyze is the threat of new entrants. See, when you are trying to analyze the environment, you have to first and foremost assess that how competitive that market can be. Yes, there are some markets where the number of competitors is very limited, but how can we say for sure that that status will remain forever? So if you are targeting to enter into a potentially new industry, then you need to also see that how easily a new competitor can enter into the market. Let's talk about Citicel in this matter. Citicel, when they came into the telecom sector of Bangladesh, at that time there was literally no competitor, and Citicel, they introduced cell phones. If you may recall, at some of the cell phones were released with a price range of around 10 lakh taka, and to get a subscription from Citicel with cell phone into at some point was around like 15 to 20,000 taka. So since there were no competitor, it was all blue ocean for Citicel. However, as new competitors started to emerge, they very easily and very rapidly took they began to eat away the market share of Citicel. Where is Citicel right now? Yes, when you used to come to Brack University, on your way maybe you have seen their office, but is that office still open? The answer is no. Citicel is gone. So we can talk about Pathao here in this case as a modern example. Pathao, when they entered into the market, the industry was all blue. There were no competitors. However, when Pathao joined this industry, in no time, they had started to have competitors from many different I mean, competitors. Competitive rivalry also another critical factor. This is an elaboration of the point that I was trying to convey in the previous point. Here, it's saying that in the industry where you are going to enter, how intense is the rivalry there by now? In the first point, I was talking about the rivalry that can emerge into the future, that can possibly emerge into the future. Here, I'm talking about the rivalry that already exists. How many rivals are there in the industry you're trying to enter? And if the number of rivals is high, let's say you have 40 different rivals into that particular industry, do you think that you can survive there with minimal number of innovation and less number of product design and development? The answer might be no. So in such a highly competitive industry, you will need to innovate consistently just to ensure your survival into the market. So that might not be a good industry to target. So keep that in mind. Threat to substitute products. What do I mean by substitute? Pardon me. What do I mean by substitute? By substitute, I am talking about the product that is different in nature but fulfilling same type of needs. Think about it in this manner. Competitive rivalry, in competitive rivalry, I can talk about, if I'm talking addressing something called some need called thirst, then competitive rivalry can be defined by the rivalry that we can see between Pepsi and Coke. So generically, these two products are same. But when I'm talking about substitute, I'm talking about, again, I'm addressing the need of thirst, but I am talking about products that are completely different from each other, but addressing the same needs. What am I talking about? So if I am addressing thirst, I can, in substitute, I can talk about the rivalry between Coca-Cola and let's say Pran Mango Juice. These two products are radically different. However, they're addressing the same needs. So in here, the example is talking about the threat of substitute products. So yes, you can enter into the industry thinking that, okay, I'm going to sell Coca-Cola into the market. Then here in this point, you are thinking that, okay, what are the substitutes that are not cola, but addressing the same needs that I'm going to address? So if, okay, you are entering into a market that's quite fresh, that doesn't have that many competitors. Even now, no one thought about that need. You have seen that the number of rivalry is less. However, still you might find that if the need that you're going to address has already quite a lot of substitutes. So I hope you understand this point. Power of buyers is another factor. The extent to which buyers can influence market rivals. Yes. Now, think about it in this manner. In the industry that you're targeting has, let's say, only 40 different competitors. But the number of customers is there for this product, let's say, is only 30. Sounds ridiculous, but for the sake of understanding, let's think that number of customers is 30. Against these 30 customers, there are 40 different competitors. Who do you think that holds the market advantage here? Or let's think about a scenario. Let's say that you are the only customer in this whole planet and have gone to Bosundhara city to do shopping. Now, if you see in Bosundhara city, there are 30 to 40 different stores, shops, and you are the only customer. Who do you think holds the power? Definitely you, the buyer. So that this is what, in this factor, this is what's being addressed. How many buyers are there? How much power they have? And in the last point, it's being told the power of suppliers, extent to which suppliers influence market rivals. Now, think about it in this way. You are thinking about introducing, again, cola, a drink, into the market. Now, if you can see that one of the key raw materials that you need is sugar, and there is only one sugar supplier in this whole planet, and sugar can have multiple different purposes. Individual consumers can be there for sugar consumption. Then you can think about confectionery stores. See, confectionery stores are not your competitor. However, they also need sugar. Then think about sweets manufacturer. They also need sugar, but they're not competitor with you. So if there is only one sugar supply in this whole planet, and there are multiple different organizations and from different industries that has the same requirement of sugar like you do, then who do you think holds the power? Definitely the sugar supplier. So here in this point, you are trying to assess, is there any market force that mainly in your task environment that can have that amount of leverage or power that they can actually easily eat away your easily influence the pricing, because there are no other parties like them. So that being said, keep the Porter's five competitive forces in the mind, because this is a model that has been significantly important in the management community to determine the market situation and the market forces of the industry where they're thinking about joining. So in the next session, I'm going to talk about in details how the organization can adapt to the environments. Thank you.